Hey all, it's Nana. For today's tutorial, we're going to show you how to make some homemade chicken and noodles. And to start with, we're going to get the chicken ready. And for that, we have a 5.5 to 6 pound chicken. We've got a couple cans of chicken broth, some celery salt, some onion powder, salt and pepper. We've got some chicken base and 2 cups of water. That was the spoon. And by the way, I have a guest with me today, and it's Mimi. So these are going to be Mimi's chicken and noodles that we all love. So that's the spoon that Mimi used. So she's going to show you how to prep the chicken. So she is going to go ahead and cut off, what do you call that, Mom? The tail? Or
the tail.
The tail.
The tail feather part. Okay, and throw him away.
Throw it away. Now, she actually usually cooks her chicken just in a pot on the stove. But to save some time, we are going to cook it in my pressure cooker.
I'm going to have to add a little bit of the chicken broth from the can to get the rest of the stuff out of here. So I can get the rest of the goodies out of the bottom of the tub, off the side. And later we'll have to add more liquid when we cook the noodles.
And let me go ahead. I'm going to start this pressure cooker real quick while Mimi is dumping in the 2 cans of chicken. I'm going to put our pressure cooker on, let's see, the chicken meat. And I'm going to adjust the time. I'm going to put this on, let's say, for 45 minutes since it's such a big chicken. No, I'll make it 47. Alright. So she's got her broth in there. And now, what do you add now, Mom?
Celery salt.
It's celery salt or celery seed?
Well, I can't find my celery seed, so we're going to use celery salt. But celery seed works just as well. Okay. And I'm only guesstimating because normally I just sprinkle. So I'm guessing at half a teaspoon.
Okay.
Okay? And this is just a guesstimate because I have no idea what that is.
And what was that, Mom?
That's onion salt, onion powder.
Onion powder.
Let me see if I can find. And this is a last minute thing that I do if I have any left. Well, if I have any, there it is. I have poultry seasoning that I like to use sometimes. It just gives it a different flavor. And I just sprinkle a little poultry seasoning in there. That just kind of adds, you can kind of do it by taste. So that goes in. We just give everything a stir. And later when I cook the noodles, we'll have to have more broth. And if I need more broth, I will add more liquid, either cans of chicken broth, or I will put in more of this chicken stock.
Alright, so we're going to put the rack in the bottom of this pressure cooker. Ooh, we can't see the rack.
Oh, I can find it. I'll find it.
There it is. We'll just kind of stick it in the middle.
Okay. And
Mimi's putting the chicken in.
We'll just drop the chicken in.
All we did was rinsed it. I was going to put some salt and pepper on it. Mimi says no, we don't have to because it's going to be in the water anyway, in the broth. Skin it. And yeah, we are going to skin it afterwards.
So there won't be any, we won't be using any bones or we'll debone it.
Alright, so let me go ahead and get the lid on this pressure cooker. We'll be right back. Okay, so the pressure cooker lid is on. It's spinning. Once that gets up to temperature, the pressure cooker will start cooking and the timer will start counting down. So the next step is going to be to start getting the noodles ready. We'll be right back after we get everything out. Okay, we're back and Mimi is ready to start making her noodles. She is going to step you through the process and I'm going to be recording it for you.
Okay, because my mother always used newspapers to roll her egg noodles on, I roll my egg noodles on newspaper. Ink doesn't come off, it doesn't make you sick. We've been doing it this way for 80 years. Okay? First you take your egg.
And how many eggs we got, Mom?
We have 2 eggs. We're going to make only 2 eggs of noodles.
And how much would this make? Like enough for like how many people?
About
like
6 people.
Okay.
Okay. We use I tuck the shell together, use half a shell of milk, which I have no idea how much that is.
But literally, just measure your milk
With the shell.
With the shell.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what kind of milk you use. You can use the
Whatever.
2% fat-free whole milk.
Whatever kind you want. Half and half if you want to. Whatever makes you happy. And then...
Since we're making 2 eggs...
We're going to do another one. I sometimes make as many 5 eggs for the holidays. If I'm doing it for like Christmas or Thanksgiving. For us and our family, chicken and noodles is not a holiday. Is not a holiday thing. It's something that when we get the urge, we make them middle of summer. It doesn't matter for us. Okay.
Okay.
So I give them I want to give them a little bit of, beat them up a little bit, get them mixed good. I add a half a teaspoon of salt per egg. So if you make more, it's a half a teaspoon. I have a teaspoon of salt here. Mix it all in.
Oh, pressure cooker's going. Here we go. You know it's getting ready to get under pressure if you hear that sound. So that is coming along quite nicely. Alright, we'll come back over here.
I like to have my egg noodles when I make chicken and noodles a little bit yellow. I add a couple of drops if it comes out. If I even have any left. Oh,
There it goes.
That
looks red, but it's yellow food coloring.
It's yellow. Yellow food coloring.
Okay.
Okay. And to that, it's about 3/4 cup of flour per egg. So we're going to add our flour. We've got like 1.5 cups, 1 3/4.
That's about 1 3/4, I think we figured.
Yeah. We had to measure it today because I really didn't know.
Mimi uses a scooper, and so when she makes her eggs, she's always just used a scooper. And I was like, well, Mimi, we got to try to measure how much flour, because I always did 1 cup of flour per egg, but it always seemed like my dough was a little dry. So now I know why, because the scooper she's always used all those years wasn't exactly a cup.
It's Tupperware scooper.
There you go. I should give you a Tupperware scooper.
A 50-year-old Tupperware container.
Yep.
And we stir it initially with the fork. And then from the fork you have to, I've washed my hands so they are clean. From there we'll go to mixing it with my hands. And I just mix it around. And then because you don't really form, you want to make it so it's a ball. And you want to keep it, you don't want it too dry, so I guess I've told Debbie a long time ago about, but she forgot the about part. So, I should have put some flour on my paper before I started, and I never. Deb, can you help me out? Oh, Nana, can you help me out? More. Don't be stingy.
Okay, let me just, I'm trying to do this and hold this at the same time. There we go.
Yeah. Okay.
Just kind of spreading it around some.
So I have my dough, my noodles, all kind of in a dough, a thing there. I take the excess off my fingers. Let's put it back in the bowl, and that's going to go get scrubbed out. But not by Poppy, because he already said he wasn't cleaning up the mess. Put that over here. And I just kind of do it like this.
Work your dough?
Work it up like you do if you're making like bread dough or something.
Well, you gotta remember, the kids don't make bread dough either, so.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Maybe that'll be a future tutorial.
Not by me.
So for anyone that's watching this, we are obviously not chefs by any stretch, but I'm making these tutorials that way when my kids want to know how to make Nana or Mimi's chicken and noodles, then I'm making these tutorials for my kids and my grandkids and any future kids from there on. So if you happen to see this and you make it and you enjoy it, then I'm happy that you were able to find this.
Now, you've seen that I worked it around. I've gotten me a nice little circle going here.
All right, we're back. I actually had a little bit of technical difficulties with my phone, and you saw a smaller dough that Mimi was starting to roll out, and she actually just finished rolling them all out. So what she was starting to show you. So we were comparing the size of the noodles. It's about 12 inches round. We got 2 sheets of newspaper here. And then she was just getting ready to show you how thin it is.
Yeah. Some people like it thicker. We like ours on the thinner side. So it's not very thick. It's probably maybe 1/8 of an inch.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. 1 or 2,
maybe
yeah, or a couple millimeters.
Yeah, whatever. And I just leave it now. That is just a little bit of food coloring. I just leave it now to set. As I was rolling, made sure I had plenty of flour underneath it so it didn't stick to the paper. They're still kind of moist. We won't let it dry all the way. We'll dry it part way. And then we'll get back to you when we're ready to cut.
All right. We'll be back. Timer is done on the chicken. I'm going to go ahead and quick release this. I like to put a paper towel over top of mine just to keep the steam from going everywhere. Let me go ahead and hit that and I'll be right back. Alright, steam's releasing and that smells delicious. So one thing that Mimi wanted to point out is that when she made the noodles earlier, this is the bowl that she was mixing it up in. She said, don't worry if you've got some stuff left in the bottom of the bowl. She said that's natural. You don't have to try to mix that in with your noodles. Just if there's a little bit left in the bottom, just don't worry about it. Go ahead and throw that away. So once the steam comes off, I'm going to go ahead and get this opened up and then we'll get the chicken out. We'll be back. All right, the chicken is out of the pressure cooker. If you cannot tell, it literally fell apart when we were getting it out of the pot. So, whatever you want to put it in. We got some delicious stock in here. Oh, you hear the dog barking? That is Cujo. That's Cujo. He was barking.
His name's actually Taco. Taco.
Cujo dog.
I don't know. Well,
all right, so Mimi's just checking the noodles. They've been sitting here while the chicken was cooking, so half hour or so they've been sitting.
So maybe, yeah.
So how long do we need to let them rest then before you slice them?
Probably. I usually wait about an hour before I do mine. I don't roll them. I actually have, it's called a mincer that I use. And when we get ready to cut them, I'll show you how to do it. I'm going to cut them in half and I'll let Debbie demonstrate how she rolls them. But I'm going to show you how I cut them.
All right, so we're going to leave these set for about, what, another
hour.
Another hour or so. So about an hour and a half, 2 hours total.
Just depends on how dry you want them to be when you get ready to.
She has a ceiling fan in here, and she just made sure that I had flipped it on. She made sure to shut it off because she didn't want them to dry out too much. So, all right, so we'll come back in a little while, and we'll get to cutting some noodles. All right, so I just came back for a second. We're actually going to let the, we got the noodle setting. We're going to let the chicken cool off, and then once the chicken cools off, we're going to take it off the bone, and then we're going to do something with the stock, too, while we're waiting for the... What are we going to do with this while we're waiting for the noodles?
We're going to let that cool, but we're going to put it into a pan to cook it on the stove. You can't cook noodles in here.
No, yeah. Do not try to cook noodles, at least these kind of noodles, in a pressure cooker. Other noodles, yes, you've seen my recipes for that, so, but not egg noodles. Okay. Okay, so we have the stock that was in the pressure cooker now in a pot. To that, we're going to add some water. This is just 4 cups right here, so Mimi's going to just kind of eyeball and see how much she thinks she wants to add in there.
About 2 cups.
So, about 2 cups of water.
Yeah.
Now what do we need to do?
We need to cut the noodles.
Cut the noodles.
So that needs to come to a boil.
All right, so stock needs to come to a boil.
Right.
Did you need to taste it to see if you want to add some salt and pepper?
Not yet, until it's hot.
Okay.
I'll slide my cutting board under there. Okay. We're going to, I cut mine like this. Make so the noodles aren't super long.
Wait a minute. Why is you yelling at her for something?
I was, but I guess not.
What do you want?
One tower didn't get through.
I heard you.
Rather than.
All right, call Retta. So I'm cutting my noodles. Now when Debbie does her noodles, which I'm not going to do,
I roll them up like
she
that.
rolls them like this. I guess I could, maybe.
Yeah.
And then
I just slice them.
she just slices them like this.
And then after I get them all sliced, I unroll
You
them.
unroll them.
Oops.
You unroll it.
But when I do mine, I leave the whole sheet
Yeah.
of dough, and I roll up the whole sheet all at one time.
But me being a newer generation person,
She's going to use her handy-dandy gadget that she got, which...
it came from a, it's called a herb mincer, actually. Oops. Oops.
So apparently it likes to fall apart.
There we go. No, I just didn't have it in good. Anyhow, it's called an herb mincer. It has little stainless steel blades on it. And it's just slice. You just run it across like this on the noodles.
Isn't that fancy?
Yeah, I bought this at a place called The Gifted Cook probably, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago maybe. So I'm sure that they're still out. Unless it falls apart like this because this is so old.
Yeah, the little thing keeps falling out.
Yeah. But, and then all you have to do with them is shake them loose like this. Much easier than rolling, which is what Mom and Grandma used to do.
Roll them like I do still.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's why I do it, because you're the one who taught me.
Mm-hmm. And then I found this little gadget at the place, so that's it. And I will proceed and go ahead and
cut the rest of them up,
and I'll get back with you.
All right.
I'm watching my cooking shows, you can tell.
Wait a minute. Still recording here.
Oh, I guess you're going to have to edit that one. Flour.
All right, so Mimi's got the noodles all cut up. She's kind of pushing off the extra flour off of the paper. Tossing them. When you're cutting them, if you see that some of them, you know.
That's from the ones you rolled.
Yeah. If you see that they didn't break all the way through, then you can just separate them.
Okay, now we're just waiting for the stock to boil, and when the stock boils, we'll be back to you.
All right, here we go. The stock is boiling. So Mimi is...
Nope. I didn't check my stock first, see what it tastes like.
Okay, so if you notice at the very beginning, we didn't add any salt or pepper to the stock. Well, we had the chicken broth, and we had the base we used, and we had the celery salt. So instead of adding salt and pepper at the beginning, we wanted to add it afterwards, because you can always add to it, but you can't take it out. We didn't want it to be over salty. So Mimi's just going to try that. What do you think? Mimi says, tastes pretty good. All right. So we're going to she's going to put the noodles in there.
But then again, that's all according to taste. Okay.
You know, at the end of the day, if you make your chicken and noodles and you just want some more salt and pepper, you can always add some more in there. Like I said, you can add more, but you can't take it out once you got it in there. So now what do we do with this?
You're just going to set and stir them up to get them started and let it cook.
So that flame's on high. So what are we going to cook the noodles on? What flame?
I'm going to cook them about medium, about a medium flame.
Do you put a lid on it?
I don't put a lid on them. And you want it to pot a little deeper because as the flour comes off of the noodles, it'll tend to come up, bubble up, and you don't want it to go over the top of the pan.
Right. So you're not going to cover it. You're just going to let them, basically you're just going to let them simmer? Or you're going to let them boil? But like at a low boil?
Yeah.
Okay. So what we got to do next?
We got bone chicken.
All right, we're going to have to bone this chicken. It's all cooled off. All right, so Mimi's going to start to bone the chicken. And what was you saying, because we have such a large chicken?
We have a large chicken here. So you can put all of it in, or you can just put in like part of it in. But we have a really large chicken here. So I may not use all of this breast. I may just use it for something else and use the legs, thighs, and the wings. So we will see. This is quite a messy job.
So I guess it really just depends on how meaty you want your noodles. Are you trying to make it a meal, or, you know, just a little bit of chicken and some noodles?
Correct. I know that the younger generation, this freaks them, this kind of...
Ew.
Yeah. They don't like, ew, you kidding me? Think I'm going to do that?
Well, if you don't want to do this...
You can get a rotisserie chicken. Well, you still have to bone it.
Yeah, you can get a rotisserie chicken. Or, I'm wondering, you could just...
I talked to Red, but she's home.
Hang on a second.
You talked to Red and she was home?
Yeah, she's at home.
Trying to pause this. Mimi and Poppy's over here talking. Let me try to pause this thing while they're talking.
So actually you use pieces like the thighs or whatever, you know, just...
Yeah, so you buy some like thighs and...
Just use the thigh, and that way you don't have all the back.
Or maybe a thigh and a breast or whatever, and just cook them. Now, when we started this, we put this chicken in a pressure cooker, so if you had not used a pressure cooker like I did, and you just put it in the pot, how long do you think you had that whole chicken would have taken to cook?
I would have cut it apart and put it in there. I wouldn't have put it in there whole.
Okay.
Because it takes too long to cook the whole chicken.
So if someone wants to just buy some chicken, like a whole chicken fryer that's already cut up, they could just put it in a stock pot, and about how long do you think you would cook it for?
I don't know. You know, I'm not sure. I think you just kind of have to...
Maybe hour and a half?
An hour. Now you just have to kind of see how the thing goes.
Just make sure the chicken pieces are done?
Mm-hmm. Make sure the chicken pieces are done.
All right, so Mimi's going to finish taking all the chicken off the bone here, and then once we get done doing that, we'll come back at you. All right, Mimi's still working on the chicken. And as you can see, the noodles are starting to boil lightly, so I'm just going to give them a little stir. You don't want to just set them there and let them start and not pay attention to them. Here's how Mimi's doing. Making some progress here. She's like, don't show them the other part. It doesn't look good and the kids won't want to make it. Okay.
This is the chicken breast, and this is how much I have now without using the chicken breast. I leave it in big pieces because we like to taste the chicken when we're having the chicken. Oops. So I'm not going to use all this breast because it would make way too much chicken for just 2 eggs. If I was making 4 or 5 eggs, I would use all the chicken. You can also buy bone-in chicken breast that's got the skin on it and boil it and use it if you don't want to use a whole chicken. So I'm just going to finish pulling this apart, and I'm going to store the other chicken in a container, and we'll get back to you when we get ready to put it in with the noodles.
Yep. Alright, so the noodles are cooked, and we didn't really pay attention to what time they started cooking, so we're guessing 45 minutes to an hour.
You have to taste them and see if they...
Yeah, just taste your noodle and see
if it's tender.
See if it's tender.
We got a lot of chicken in here. I'm thinking way too much chicken. So this is chicken and noodles. This is the amount of chicken I was to use for like 4 eggs at least.
But I talked her into more chicken because the more chicken, the better with the noodles.
Yeah. So then you just put the chicken in there, leave it set for about simmer for about 10 minutes, so the chicken gets nice and hot, and then
it'll be ready to eat then?
It'll be ready to eat. I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, it's in all the rich noodles in there and all the egg. It's really an inexpensive dish to make, depending on what kind of chicken parts you use, if you catch your chicken on sale or not.
So I think what we'll do is, we've got some potatoes cooking because we like to have our chicken and noodles with potatoes. So I think what we'll do is just show you we'll scoop after these get done simmering for a few minutes, we'll scoop some out and put some with some potatoes, and we'll show you what it looks like.
We have potatoes. And if you're from the South, which I'm not, but this is like what we like to do. And because I don't have room on my table, we're having to take it right from the stove. Most people put it to the side, like this. Not us. It goes right on top of the
Right on top.
Right on top. And see, it's got all that chicken and all that goodness is in there. Nom.
So, this
Bon
is
appetit.
what we like to have.
Okay.
This is how it ends up. Of course, we're going to add veggies to this. I'm Mimi.
And I'm Nana. Go get cooking.